In this video, I'm going to unveil exactly what every executive job seeker needs to understand about Steve Jobs' firing and subsequent rehiring by Apple and why it made a huge difference to what Apple is like today and why they are one of the world's biggest companies. This is super important if you want to understand how to overcome things like being overqualified, people not understanding the value you can bring, if you're a career changer. All of these things are incredibly easy to overcome when you understand this. So let's dive into it right now. So back in 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple because of disagreements, and you can read the story. I'm not going to go into the history of it. And then he founded a new company, and that company was then acquired by Apple in 1997, bringing Steve Jobs back into the fold. Now, once Steve Jobs came back into the fold, he realized that things were changing, that the market for technology was changing, and something had to be done if Apple was going to maintain the growth that he saw that it should have, that he envisioned that where Apple should be, right? And so there's one key thing that Steve Jobs did during that time, which made all of the difference. And you can see from the charts here, right? Back in 1997, there was barely any traction for Apple. Look at the red chart there, just showing the difference in revenue between 1997 and 2011, which was just 14 years later. Huge, huge difference, all because of what Steve did. Now, what was it that Steve Jobs did? He implemented a very specific strategy all around, and if you're in marketing or sales, you might understand how some of this works, all around the unique selling proposition of Apple, the USP, right? Apple's USP became, we sell a lifestyle with our products. We sell a lifestyle with our products. Right. Why is this important for you as an executive job seeker? Well, we're going to dive into that right now. So the first thing that you need to do in your executive job search is get clarity on what that next role looks like for you, right? The role that's going to give you the impact, the fulfillment, the earning potential that you deserve. The role that's going to give you the trajectory to get to where you want to get to in your career. Is it going to give you the right pathway to get to that end result, that end point? Do you want to be, a C-suite executive? Do you want to work as a C-suite in the C-suite at a much larger company? Whatever that is for you, you need to know that that next role is going to get to that place. And so that's what you need to do first in that sequence, the sequence of the executive job search, which is so, so important. And that's what Steve did first when he came back to Apple. He figured out who are the people that we're going to sell our products to, right? He realized that the best markets for Apple's products were affluent young consumers who view technology as more than just a gadget, right? And you need to be that clear on what you want to do next. Maybe it is, I want to be the CMO of a middle market automotive parts manufacturer in the northeast of the US. Something like that. That's the clarity you need to have on the type of role you want to get. And then once you have that clarity, you then need to prove why you are the number one person for that type of role, right? When the executive job search is as competitive as it is today, it's so important that you can prove why you're the number one candidate for that exact role type, right? Not being a generalist, being a specialist, and showing why you are clearly the number one candidate. And we do that by understanding the difference between practical value, which is your education, your years of experience, the fact you've got an MBA, all these other things, and perceived value, right? Perceived value. These are the two important factors you need to understand because most people concentrate on practical value. Oh, I have these years of experience, I've done this, but that is important. But what's much, much more important is your perceived value, how someone perceives you. And when I present this on stage, and I've presented this number of times to various different groups of people, and I always present this slide, which I love, because what I say is, okay, everyone in the audience, what I want you to do is put your hand up if you recognize the manufacturer of the phone on the right-hand side. Right? Obviously, everybody keeps their hand up. Everyone knows that it's Apple. Everyone knows that it's an iPhone. And then I do the same with the phone on the left-hand side. Right? Put your hands up if you recognize who the manufacturer is. Right? And I get a few people putting their hands up. Invariably, they're almost all wrong. Sometimes you get one person or a couple of people that do know which phone it is, maybe because they had it. Right? It's actually an LG G3, and the other one's an iPhone 6. Right? This shows how long I've been presenting this slide for. Now, here's the important thing. When you look at the practical value, which is like the experience, the years of experience, the projects you've worked on, the fact you've got an MBA, etc., when you look at the practical value of the LG versus the iPhone, guess what? the LG had a better camera, had a bigger screen size, longer battery life, faster processor, right? So on paper, right, if you were buying a phone, if you went into a phone store and all you did was you bought your next phone based on its specs, based on its resume, right? If you looked at the resume for the LG and the resume for the iPhone, which one you buy? You'd buy the LG, right? And the LG did sell 13 million units, right, which is pretty good, right? But when you compare it to the iPhone 6, which had a worse camera, smaller screen size, worse battery life, slower processor, they were released around the same time. Why did the iPhone sell 156 million units? Doesn't make any sense. It's illogical, right? Completely illogical. Well, no, it's not completely illogical when you think about what the reason for this is, right? The LG G3 sold just 8% compared to the iPhone, even though it was technically a better phone, right? Its practical value was higher than its practical value was higher than the iPhone, right? But because Apple sold a lifestyle with their products. They focused on people and they wanted to sell to people who thought about gadgets in a different way, right? They didn't think about tech as just, something that just exists, right? It becomes part of their personality. Owning an iPhone, owning an Apple Watch, all the other things that Apple create and have created since the iPhone and since the iPod, actually, right? Those things are what drives people's lifestyle. People perceive them in a different way, right? People pay more for what technically is a worse product on paper because they buy into the lifestyle. Why is this? It's because perception is the most powerful persuasive force in the world, right? It's not how good something actually is, it's how good someone thinks it is. And that is the key for you. It is how good the interviewer, the decision maker, the person you're talking to, whoever it might be, thinks you are, not how good you actually are, right? When it comes to your role. That's what this is all about. It's all about perception. And you need to have a very clear and very strong, unique value proposition in your executive job search to get the results that you want, right? Because if the decision maker perceives you as the best candidate, which is an emotional response, you'll get hired, right? Have you ever heard things like gut feeling? Oh, well, I know this person's got more experience, but I just had a gut feeling about this other candidate. I had a gut feeling that they're going to do better. What is that? That is perception. I just think this person's going to be better. It's a gut feeling, right? When it comes to the hiring process, you are not just judged on how many years experience you have. You're not just put into an algorithm and then they just spits out who the best candidate is going to be. It doesn't work like that. And that's why if you get the perception part wrong, your MBA, your years of experience, your exemplary track record are all worth basically nothing, right? Which is why having your unique value proposition properly defined and knowing why someone is going to perceive you as the most suitable candidate or most valuable candidate is absolutely vital to this, right? So key that you get this right. Now, here's an example of what a unique value proposition could look like, right? And so this is something, unique value proposition, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not like you go into an organization and say, hey, here's my unique value proposition. But what it does is it forms what we call your executive part of your executive story. It's what is the reason for why I am the best person. I have predefined this. I know why I am the best person for this type of role that I've already defined as well. The same way Steve said, these are the types of people I want to sell to. Young, affluent consumers who consider tech to be more than just a gadget, right? So my USP that Steve developed is going to be, okay, I'm going to sell a lifestyle with my products because I know that's what these people want, right? Has the target, has the unique selling proposition to get there, right? That's what we need. We need our target role and we need a unique value proposition to be able to get there. And that's what this is all about, right? And it's only after that you have your target role and you have your unique value proposition, once you have those properly defined, that you should then start working on your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your elevator pitch, and all these other things, right? Because if you don't define those first, you're just going to be seen as a generalist. Or worse, you're not even going to match up with what this person really needs on the other side, right? It's quite hard to do this yourself, right? And that's why when we work with our clients, we spend a good amount of time, as long as it takes. Sometimes this happens really fast, other times it takes longer, to really define what is that next role for you, why is it important, and how are we going to define that unique value proposition so that you're seen as the number one candidate for that type of role. Right. And this really comes down to one thing when it comes to if you've ever worked with a professional resume writer before, because we have so many clients that come to us and say, well, I've worked with a resume writer in the past, but it didn't work. Nothing happened. Well, now you know why. The resume might have been great, right? I remember a client coming to me and saying, yeah, I got my resume rewritten. It was amazing. It was a great resume. Problem is, it didn't describe me, right? So what you need to take from this video, from this lesson, just as the success that Steve Jobs managed to drive for Apple through the period from 1997 when he came back until he sadly passed, right, was developing that target market and then having a unique selling proposition which fit with that. We are developing our target role and we have our unique value proposition which fits with that. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the job market, the job search, you are a product, right? You're selling your work is a product and you're selling that to someone else. The hiring process is a sales process. It's all about persuasion. It's all about perception. So you need to understand this and tap into it because it's so, so important. Now, if you want help with this, if you ever think to yourself, well, this makes sense. I understand now why I haven't been as successful as I want to be in the job search, or maybe in my career in general, we can help you with that. We have developed a proprietary process called the reverse job search method, which we can license and help you install into your job search, which is going to do all these things for you and with you. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, there's going to be a link below this where you can watch another video. You can download a recent 18-page white paper that I produced, which is going to tell you all about how this works. So if that's something that you are interested in and something that you want to discover more about, check out those videos, check out the white paper, and you're going to learn a lot. But whether you look at those resources or not, you have to implement this process. You have to understand why you're the most valuable person for the role you want to get. Otherwise, your job search just is going to be so much more challenging and you're going to get much worse results. So I really, really hope you implement this.